Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, actually, because I get to share my own experience as when I started out in real estate, which is actually with buy and hold. A lot of you know that I do wholesaling, but actually I started with rentals. And I like to talk about that because a lot of you say, well, yeah, I mean, you've been in the business a long time. It's easy for you now to do certain things, but as a beginner, it probably is not. And I want to show you, share with you my story because of that, because I can share with you how a beginner I did it. And plenty of our students are doing it now as beginners, accumulating an amazing portfolio of rentals in a short time. Actually, Dawn is one of our coaches now. She was actually one of our students, and she has about 50 rental properties right now, which Airbnb, short-term, mid-term, and long-term rentals. And she just started doing it a few years ago, so it's totally realistic to do it even in today's environment. But let me share a story, and also I'm going to share with you also how I paid off all of my the mortgages through wholesaling. So back in 91, I'd been a real estate agent for a few years, but I was a residential broker in Hawaii. And then I decided to transition and become a real estate investor because honestly, after I moved to the mainland, I saw that there was more money in investing than commissions, especially when I lived in the Midwest. So I ran across something, one of the late night infomercials. I'll be honest with you guys. I was basically devouring any information out there. Unfortunately, back then there was not much as far as coaching. So you had to get books, late night infomercials to really trying to figure things out. And so I ran across Carlton Sheets, which he had a no money down business or nothing down, I think was his score, something like that. Now, keep in mind that also what I had been reading for a few years since I got interested in real estate from the 80s is any books that I could get my hands on that said no money down, nothing down, and creative financing. I was very interested in that aspect of the business. I wasn't interested going through the regular way of getting into real estate, put 20% down. For me, it wasn't a possibility. I am originally from Italy. I came in the United States in 85, didn't have any credit, didn't have a job, was going through college. So for me to get realistically bank loans, it was not something I could have done at that point in time. So I was interested in the creative aspect of real estate from day one. So what I did is I came across this Carlton Sheets course, and it's funny though because I still have the tape of this day. I have the VHS tape, and if you'll come to the master class next week, I'm going to share with you. Actually, last night I was unpacking some of my boxes, and I came across that tape. I kept on to it all these years. I'm going to share with you next week in the master class the actual tape that to me was groundbreaking. And so in this tape, obviously he's pitching, he's coaching, he's one-on-one and all the stuff. But one of the things he was talking about is a legal loan strategy at the time, which was doing lease options and what they call now subject to, which back then were more like wraparound mortgages. And so it shows him sitting at the kitchen table. Remember, if you were around at that point in time, you probably remember those phones with the old wire attached to the wall. If you're not around, you probably saw it in a movie. But basically, he was sitting at the kitchen table, really getting the Sunday paper because there was no internet back then, and calling everybody that had properties for rent, for sale by owners, and so forth, and basically having a conversation saying, hey, I came across your advertising about this house. I see if you want to rent it. And I'm just wondering, would you think you might be interested in selling it in the future? That's it. That's all you would ask. And if he said yes, this particular individual, then he would have a conversation. And like I say, he taped himself doing this of, say, okay. So then he would go look at the house. It shows him looking at the house. He had some type of checklist of things, he would check on the house conditions and so forth and have a conversation. What he was doing basically, he was asking the owner to give him a lease option so that he could do a sandwich lease to his end buyer, which nowadays is called arbitrage. So I listened to the strategy, and to me, a light bulb went off, right? And so I started doing the same thing. So I started doing that, but then I ran across other scenarios. So lease option, and I did owner financing, contract for deed, wraparound mortgages. I did all of them. And so once you go out there and start to put yourself in the middle of the action and start looking for property, first, a second thing is I was pretty aggressive at that point, okay, or assertive, I should say. I wanted to, this was in 91, and Liz was only 2 years old at the time. I had a 3, 4 month old baby, my son. And I said, I want to accrue an income of $5,000 a month by the end, within a year, so that I don't have to worry or look for a job. In 91, $5,000 a month was good money. So, and I wanted to do it with rentals. So then I determined that based on the area that I was investing, which was St. Louis, I was getting so much per door. Okay. And so in order for me to achieve that type of profit within a year, I would have had to have 20 doors, between 15 to 20 doors. How do I get to the determination? Well, one of the formula I use is 250 per door, which I still use to this day. So I went out there and I put myself pretty aggressive too. Initially, I was going to buy single family homes, but then I realized that 2 and 4 units, which I also consider residential, were going to get me there so much faster. So I started really ramping things up and going for a little larger 2 and 4 units instead of single family. To make a long story short, within 18 months, I had accumulated over 40 doors and $10,000 a month in income. Now let's fast forward. Says, okay, yeah, well, 91, that's easy. We have students have done it now recently since COVID. Okay, so it's not something that worked 30 years ago and doesn't work right now. But obviously, you need to know what you're doing and what you're looking for, what conversations you're having, how you're going to structure this type of financing. Now, also bonus tip here, and I actually use wholesaling. Okay, back at the end of the 90s, then I started using wholesaling. I realized when I stumbled into flipping contracts, which now is called wholesaling, how you can use wholesaling to pay off your mortgages. So within 10 years, I also paid off the mortgages on this property, which was a godsend because in 2007, 2008 happened, at least I had the income from the rentals to rely on when the housing crisis happened. Anyway, all of this and so much more is going to be shared next week. We're starting on Monday. We're starting a 5 days masterclass, and we're going to break it down every single day. And we're not just teaching you the strategies, obviously you're going to know how, but also we're going to share with you practical knowledge of how you can do it for yourself. Because at the end of the day, great to hear a story, but how does this apply to me, right? So on Monday, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to teach you exactly some of the things we talked about a couple of days ago during the live, or the importance, number one, key thing to do about choosing the right strategy with the right area. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about wholesaling, specifically how the mechanics work and what to do the most out of wholesaling, including the sub-strategies of wholesaling, which is double closing, assignments, and novation. Then on Wednesday, we're going to, like 1 week from today, we're going to talk about rentals. We're going to talk specifically, I'm going to bring in Dawn, who owns 50 rental properties and most of them Airbnb. I'm going to share with you exactly how she's done it recently, and she's in her early 30s and she already owns an amazing portfolio. So she's going to share with you that one. Now, Thursday and tomorrow, make sure you come here for the live. We're going to share with you how to do fix and flips. I know a lot of you are interested in the aspect of real estate. We're going to share with you tomorrow, and also leveraging private money to really put a portfolio to the next level. And that's something else I will share with you. In 2001, when I went into syndication, using the power of private money exponentially grew my business overnight. So that is going to be shared with you tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for the live. And then on Friday, we're going to share with you during the challenge how to put everything together, the system, how this is going to work seamlessly. Because at the end of the day, even if you're interested in only one of these strategies, let's say rentals, to know a little bit about how to do the BRRRR method, which taps into fix and flip, or how to do wholesaling, which you can sell your leads from that you don't want for your rentals, is going to give you to be a well-rounded investor, so you never leave money on the table. So all of these strategies we're going to go into day by day next week. I really dive deep into one and show you behind the curtains. With that said, it's only the cost of a cup of coffee for the whole week. So, you skip the coffee on Monday, you'll have paid for the masterclass for the whole week. So it's very affordable. We want to make it available to everybody. But like I said, we're going to dive deep into each one of these strategies. But today with rentals, I wanted to bring you a little bit of my story of how I did it, how I also used wholesaling to pay off the rentals. And a more recent example, Jimmy and Patricia were students of ours a few years ago, and they used they start with rentals first for the first couple of years. At the end of the couple of years, they say, well, we're pretty much tapped out right now until we liquidate. But then they use wholesaling to pay off, and now they own a whole portfolio of rental properties without mortgages. And they've done it only for a few years. So this is so much more is going to be shared with you next week. So I hope to see you then. In the meantime, I'll see you tomorrow. I will be talking about fix and flips and also private money, guys, how you can leverage private money to really boom your business to the next level. Have a great day.